Thank you, and welcome to Disavowed. I am your always gracious and humble host, Bebo the Great. Today is November 6th, 2020. And on this day in history, Abraham Lincoln is elected president of a divided nation. Lincoln becomes the first Republican to win the White House at a time when the Democrat Party and the country as a whole are deeply divided over issues of slavery. The Civil War will break out a few months after Lincoln's inauguration. Sound familiar? Sound sounds like something going on today? Dalap Sound wins election to U.S. Congress, whoever the heck is that. The first Asian American elected to Congress, representing the 29th District of California in the U.S. House, born in India, a Democrat with a PhD in mathematics from the University of California, will be re-elected twice. He'll lose his seat in 1962 after suffering a serious stroke. On this day in 1962, the United Nations condemns South Africa over the apartheid. The UN passes a resolution calling on members to cut ties with South Africa to force the nation to end its racial segregation of black Africans. Change will be slow. The country will not repeal its last apartheid until 1991. On this day in 1975, punk pioneers performed for the first time the Sex Pistols. Johnny Rotten, Steve Jones, Glenn Matlock, and Paul Cook performed together for the first time at St. Martin's School of Art in London. The Sex Pistols' brief set includes only a few covers before the headlining band pulls the plug, but it marks the start of the UK punk movement. That was on this date in history. Now we will do birthdays and see what type of degenerates had birthdays on this day. Oh, one of the biggest degenerates of them all, Aaron Hernandez, the American football player. He was a tight end convicted of murder. He played in the National Football League for 3 seasons with the New England Patriots until his career came to an abrupt end after his arrest and conviction for the murder of Odin Lloyd. Sally Field, the actress, she made her fortune with Norma Ray, Places in the Heart, and Steel Magnolias. Blah, blah, blah. She is 73 years old. Pat Tillman, the ex-NFL football player that joined the Army and left to go serve in the military. Ethan Hawke, the actor. Edsel Ford, Lamar Odom, the basketball player. Charles II of Spain. Walter Johnson, the great pitcher. Charles Dow. He was an American journalist who founded Dow Jones and Company with Edward Jones and Charles Betzginer. Dow also co-founded the Wall Street Journal, which has become one of the most respected financial publications in the world. He also invented the Dow Jones Industrial Average. He was born on this day in 1851. And that'll wrap it up for birthdays. Now to our main story of the evening. Obviously, our main story of the evening is the election and the Democrats. Oh, the Democrats, which they are obviously trying to steal the election. It couldn't be more in your face and sloppy than what they've done. We're going to start out here with a video from Project Veritas, talking with a Michigan UPS whistleblower, and what he was told to do with ballots that were coming in after they were allowed to be processed. This whole thing with the mail-in ballots, this has all been a setup. This has all been a setup from the get. This and the COVID, it's all been a part of their plan to steal this election. They've been throwing everything they can at it to steal this election. But Donald Trump must also accept some of the blame for this. He should have been prepared. He should have known that they were going to try to do this. And he should have been more well prepared for this situation. Now, I don't know what to think. I'm so sick of, honestly, hearing the Q people talk about this is all part of the plan and that we now got them right where we want them. You know, honestly, honest to God, like, when will these people, what will it take the right wing to realize that this is not all a part of the plan, that we're getting screwed? The idiocracy that's going on out here. When I first started supporting Trump, we had the political radicals that were supporting him, the outliers. Now we have baby boomers that are Q supporters.
Tell us where you work.
I work in the Traverse City Post Office, more specifically the bar ranch.
Your boss told you and your colleagues something that shocked you this morning. What was it?
We were issued a directive this morning to collect any defined in mailboxes, collection boxes, just outgoing mail in general, separate them at the end of the day so that they could hand stamp them with the previous day's date. Today is November 4th, for clarification.
Who is your boss, and what is his title?
Jonathan, be a direct supervisor, yes. As of right now, he is the opening supervisor for the Barlow Branch Post Office. So and this is anecdotal, carrier down in another office said they watched the postmaster doing it. If it were just a typical day, it would be clerks doing it up at the distribution center.
So 8 p.m. election day, November 3rd. The Court of Appeals ruled ballots have to be received by that time. And what were you told?
To separate them today so they could mark them with yesterday's date. and send them through the express system to wherever they needed to go.
This appears to be an attempt to circumvent Michigan law and allow late votes. And you said there was a hamper where letter carriers were supposed to leave their ballots. Where are the ballots now?
They were putting them into express bags to go to the distribution center. In regards to a hamper, there's a standard hamper that all letter mail is supposed to go to, and they had a tub next to it that we were supposed to put any ballots collected today into.
Yes. What made you come forward?
That's sketchy. Like sketchy, it screams corruption. Also knowing the post office's leanings politically, it didn't seem quite right.
What is your message to other postal workers who see things like this?
Report it. How are we supposed to have any integrity in this country if we're just going to let things slide based on a scaling issue?
Are you afraid of retaliation against you?
I've had whistleblower policies backfire on me in the past, so yes.
We'll have to reach out to Jonathan Clark for comment. Hey, is this Jonathan?
Yeah.
Hey, I'm a reporter with Project Veritas, James O'Keefe here, and I have information that you guys have been stamping ballots with the previous date, November 3rd. He just hung up the phone on me. He just hung up the phone on me.
He just instantly hangs up on the guy. Coincidence? Coincidence? I think not. I mean, this, and then there's more examples. I'm going to see if I can find another video of him in Pennsylvania, also interviewing a Pennsylvanian postal carrier.
I don't think I wasn't supposed to hear that. I'm the last carrier in the building. I don't even think he realized I was there.
Okay, tell me where you work.
I work at the post office in Erie, PA.
Tell us what happened this morning, November the 5th.
This morning I was casing my route, and I saw the postmaster pull one of our supervisors to the side. And as he was pulling the supervisor, it was really close to where my case was, so I was able to listen in. And I heard him say to the supervisor that they messed up yesterday. I was like, oh, what did they mess up on? And he told the supervisor that they had postmarked one of the ballots to the 4th instead of the 3rd, because they were supposed to put them for the 3rd.
Why was he upset?
Because he's honest to God, he's actually a Trump hater. But because it may have came from Pittsburgh. I don't know the whole details because I'm not a supervisor. All these ballots that are coming in today, tomorrow, yesterday, are all supposed to be postmarked the 3rd.
Do you believe that order still stands?
Yes, no doubt, considering that they still want us to pick up ballots tomorrow. They had a specific meeting, safety meeting, where one of the higher ups, Rob and Stephanie, basically told us to make sure we pick up the ballots and give them directly to the supervisor.
Rob, the postmaster.
Yes.
And you're telling me that they're still asking people to pick up ballots tomorrow, November 6th?
Yes.
There's a whistleblower inside your office that says that you have been ordering employees to backdate ballots to November 3rd from November 4th and 5th.
That's untrue, and I don't talk to reporters, thank you.
Okay, but we've had multiple sources say that this is happening. He hung up the phone on me.
So that was Detroit and Philadelphia postmasters having accusations of them predating mail that came in after the election. But then you have these cowardly ass Republicans that have come out and they've condemned Trump for making false claims to have won the election because they're a bunch of cowards and a bunch of cucks. If Donald Trump does not stand up and fight this, and he loses this election, he better move and never show his face again, because he's a failure. And this is partially his fault for having a lack of loyalty at the beginning with General Flynn. He fired Steve Bannon. Then the whole debacle with Bannon and what's his face, the one that Roger Stone, and then off the rip to have Rance Priebus as his Secretary of State was just ridiculous. He's a swamp creature in himself. Okay. And then the second time around, he hires Karl Rove to help with the election. Here we go. We're going to start out with these cucks in the Republican Party. This is Rick Santorum, former senator, I believe.
I was very distressed by what I heard the president say. You know, the president is prone, as we all know, to bluster and to fits of pique of being upset about how he's being treated. But look, I don't have any problem. I think Joe Biden said similar things, saying, you know, I think I won. I mean, that's fine. You think you won. That's great. But the idea of saying that using the word fraud being committed by people counting votes, I think is wrong. I understand he sees votes potentially being shifted around in some places. But look, that the reality is that what's happening. I can tell you in Pennsylvania, they're counting the absentee and mail-in ballots right now, and some counties have stopped counting. Why have they stopped counting? Because it's 2:48 in the morning. That's why they stopped counting. Because people get tired. When they're tired, they make mistakes, and you stop counting, and then you take it up the next morning when people and everybody has a chance to sort of make sure they're not making any mistakes. They're not counting because they're trying to fix anything or create any sort of fraud. There's plenty of people there, as you know, poll watchers and others who are watching the counting. I know in the city of Philadelphia, for example, I think there's actually camera on the people who are actually doing the counting. So look, I understand the president's frustration because some of this weren't called as early as he'd like, but at the same time he complained about one of the states being called earlier, like Arizona. So I understand the president feels like it's a grievance against him, and somehow or another this is another example of the media not treating him fairly. I would just say I could not disagree more in this case. I think in
What a cuck. That guy is such a coward. And that's why you're gone. Rick Santorum, you are a coward. Okay? We're talking about counting the votes for the presidency. They couldn't have a backup crew? I mean, it's not like this is anything important, right? That they got to take time off from counting votes. We'll just put them away there, leave. We'll come back in the morning. There's no hurry. Let me ask you something. How come they could count like 80% of the vote? How come they could count like 80% of the vote in like 3 hours? And now the last 5%, it's taken them like 3 fucking days. Huh? Mr. Santorum? What's the problem? You're a fucking schmuck. Okay? And that's why people like you are gone. And that's why it's the Trump party now. Because we're sick of your pussy ass. Now next up, we got this fat slob, Chris Christie, who was standing by the president, supposedly is his friend. These cucks, they get on the panels of these media left-wing commies, and they fucking cuck to them every fucking time. Okay? Here we go, fat ass Chris Christie.
Listen, as a talk tonight now, not as a former governor, as a former, there's just no basis to make that argument tonight. There just isn't. All of these votes have to be counted that are in now. In Pennsylvania, the argument won't even start in Pennsylvania until tomorrow or Thursday or Friday, because the Pennsylvania Supreme Court extended for 3 days. You could accept ballots. Now, I understand there could be an argument on that based upon Pennsylvania law, but that argument's for later. This was not the time to make this argument. And
it's not about law; it's about politics, right? He's preparing the battlefield.
Well, listen, it is, but it's got to be bigger than that. And I disagree with tonight. And I think Sarah's right that there comes a point where you have to let the process play out before you judge it to have been flawed. And I think by prematurely doing this, if there is in it later, he has undercut his own credibility in calling attention to that flaw. So it's a bad strategic decision. It's a bad political decision. And it's not the kind of decision you would expect someone to make tonight, holds the position he holds.
What the fuck? I think I hit it. I'll replay that.
Listen, as a talk tonight now, not as a former governor, U.S. attorney, just no basis to make that argument tonight. There just isn't. All of these votes have to be counted that are in now. In Pennsylvania, the argument won't even start in Pennsylvania until tomorrow or Thursday or Friday, because the Pennsylvania Supreme Court extended for 3 days when you could accept ballots. Now, I understand there could be an argument on that based upon Pennsylvania law, but that argument's for later. Tonight, to make and
it's not about law, it's politics, right? He's preparing the battlefield.
Well, listen, it is, but it's got to be bigger than that. And I disagree with what he did tonight. And I think Sarah's right that there comes a point where you have to let the process play itself out before you judge it to have been flawed. And I think by prematurely doing this, if there is a flaw in it later, he has undercut his own credibility in calling to that flaw. So I think it's a bad strategic decision. It's a bad political decision. And it's not the kind of decision you would expect someone to make tonight who holds the position he holds.
Did you listen to that shit? He just said that he undercut his credibility by bringing attention to it, even if there is a flaw. he undercut his credibility by bringing attention to it now, even if there is a flaw. What type of nonsense is that? What a bunch of bullshit. Like, he undercut his credibility because he said they're cheating. Even if they are cheating, he undercut his credibility because he pointed out that they were cheating too early. And then last but not least, we have John Bolton, another stifler. If this Republican Party does not stand up and fight, they're already setting the stage to cave. And Trump isn't going to win. At some point, they're going to name Joe Biden the winner. My guess will be early tomorrow morning, Saturday news. They're going to announce it. And then it'll be ready for all the Sunday news talk shows. Here's the stifler, John Bolton.
I feel pretty unhappy this morning, too. I think the comments President Trump made a few hours ago, where he basically said that he was winning, but now the election would be stolen from him, were some of the most irresponsible comments that a president of the United States has ever made. We don't know what the outcome will be. It's entirely possible Trump could win, but he has cast doubt on the integrity of the entire electoral process purely for his own personal advantage. It's a disgrace.
It could go to the Supreme Court. Talk about what the Supreme Court can do, because, of course, many of my viewers will remember what happened in 2000.
Yeah, well, I remember because I was in Florida for 30 days, and the Supreme Court got that right. It said essentially the time had run out for the recount, and that the certification made by the Secretary of State on election night would hold because it had not been successfully challenged. People should understand there is no national system in the United States. It's done by the 50 states, and indeed in many cases by the counties within the states. So challenges that would come to the Supreme Court have to work their way up through a variety of lower courts. They have to be based on violations of state law or the federal Constitution. Supreme Court cannot reach out and decide the election, again, despite what President Trump said last night. So let's wait and see until they're counted. That's step one. President Trump himself didn't win on election night in 2016. I remember well, it was about 2:30 in the morning because votes take longer to count. And particularly in the coronavirus pandemic, many people voted by mail or voted early. It's like Pennsylvania and Michigan. They didn't even start counting those votes till yesterday. So there's a long way to go. As I say, I don't know who's going to win this election. And I think anybody who casts doubt on its integrity without evidence is doing a great disservice to the American people.
Bullshit. They know who's going to win this election. Are you freaking kidding me? Of course they know. It's all set up. It's in the cards. They know exactly what they're doing. Exactly. John Bolton is a snake. If it was up to John Bolton, we would have been at war with Iran months ago. This guy is a scumbag that stabbed the president in the back. And now, last but not least, we have Chris Wallace of Fox News, right? Right. This is when you have friends like this. Who needs enemies, right? This is Fox News. This is supposed to be the one news source that is halfway friendly to the president, right? This is the degenerate that ran the first debate that was a debacle. He couldn't get the two candidates in line whatsoever. This guy, his dad was a newsman for years, one of the biggest newsmen in the history of this country.
This is an extremely flammable situation, and then just threw a match into it. He hasn't won these states. Nobody is saying he's won the states. The states haven't said that he's won. This goes right back to what Joe Biden said, which is the president that he's won states. The American people get to say it, and the state officials get to declare it. And I guess. And I don't know if he literally means it, but he said, we will be going to the Supreme Court because we want all the voting to stop. Well, vote, yes, but vote counting? These state law all have the opportunity, and states routinely count votes by election night or early into the morning of the day after the election, and it goes on for days. Now, there may be a question as to how long you can continue to accept ballots, but there's no question that all these states can continue to count votes for days. They don't have to certify for weeks who has won the state. That was what happened in Florida back in 2000. So I don't know if he literally meant that he's going to try to stop the counting of the vote, but I would think that would be extremely inflammatory. Frankly, I don't think it's something that the courts will.
Dan.
You know what's inflammatory is all these ballots coming in the middle of the night, and they're all Joe Biden votes, all of them. You tell me how that's possible. I don't even get this. You would think most people that are voting by mail tend to be older. Older people tend to be conservative, right? How is it that 100% of these mail-in ballots are going Joe Biden? How you tell me how it is that 23,000 votes come in from a area, a district, and they're all Joe Biden? Like the whole neighborhood just votes Joe Biden. Like, give me a break with this crap. Anyone that believes this is a fool. But like I said, this is partially President Trump's fault for being weak and allowing. He had Bolton and Christie are working with this guy. President Trump needs to work on his loyalty, and the ones that stand by him, he needs to support. No, instead, when he's asked about the Proud Boys, right? He's asked about the Proud Boys. I don't know much about the Proud Boys there, but I'll disavow them. I'll disavow them. Well, this is what situation you're going to be in when you don't stand by anyone, Mr. President. No one's going to stand by you. I am a major Trump supporter. But let me tell you, the second time I was not as enthusiastic about voting for you as the first time. I basically voted for you because who would vote for Joe Biden? Okay? This is insanity. The fact that these people believe that Joe Biden collected more votes than Barack Obama. Think about that. Think about that. Who really believes that Joe Biden got more votes than Barack Obama? I remember when Barack Obama ran. I seen signs everywhere. I seen people walking around with Barack Obama's hats, sweaters, and everything. You're telling me that these people came out to vote for Biden in higher numbers than they did for Barack Obama? You'd have to be a complete moron to believe that. How naive could you possibly be? It's unbelievable. Anyone that believes this was all set up from the beginning with the coronavirus to do the mail-in ballots to steal this election. Anyone with a brain could see that. And this is what happens when you sit by. The president should have did something about the social media censoring and attacking right-wingers long ago. But no, he kept talking about doing something, but did he do anything? There's right-wingers out here that aren't only losing their social media accounts, they're literally losing bank accounts. Andrew Torbid of Gab, God forbid he wanted to set up a social media site where you had free speech, right? God forbid you did that, right? They literally blackballed this man. Banks shut down his bank accounts. He can't even get a credit card processing company for his business. And they blackballed his wife even. His wife. And I got to sit here and listen to these losertarians talk about free markets. And, oh, it's a business. They can deny who they want. You people are absolutely insane. In some good news in the evening, QAnon supporter Marjorie Taylor Greene won an election. That's right. A QAnon supporter won an election. And guess what? Right out the rip, she's censored by Twitter after her win. The Georgia Congresswoman-elect who has spread bizarre conspiracy theories online. Now, this is written by the New York Post. This article is written by the New York Post, who's leaning right. And look how they started out. The Georgia Congresswoman-elect who has spread bizarre conspiracy theories. These are our friends. These are the people that are right-wingers, right? Talking about a Republican that just got elected. Right? That's our friendly newspaper. The Georgia Congresswoman elect who has spread bizarre conspiracy theories. Yes, bizarre conspiracy theories like sex trafficking and human trafficking. Right? I mean, don't get me wrong, the QAnon people drive me nuts from time to time too. But there's a lot worse people out here than QAnon supporters. But, what do I know? The Georgia Congresswoman elect who has spread bizarre conspiracy theories online, popularized by QAnon conspiracy theorist, was censored by Twitter the day after her election for spreading baseless claims about election fraud. Margie Taylor Greene, who was elected to Georgia's 14th congressional district Tuesday, tweeted a number of messages on Wednesday that included conspiracy theories about the Democrats trying to steal the presidential election. The tweets were hidden by the social media platform with labels that warned users the information may not be correct. Some of the content shared in this tweet is disputed and might be misleading about the election or other civic processes, the label said. A number of leading Republicans denounced Greene. That's right. The Republicans denounced Greene. So all you people, all you right-wingers that are sitting out here talking about how Trump's going to win, right? His party isn't even behind him. They're attacking people that are coming out and saying that there's fraud. Okay? At this point, you'd have to be my friend called me the other day and he said, no, man, there's still hope Trump's going to win. I said, there's no hope because it's rigged. I know it's rigged. Look at how it's going. Every state where all these ballots are coming in last minute are Democrat-leaning states. The Secretary of State in all of these states are Democrat. Democrat governors, Democrat attorney generals, Democrat secretaries of state. The majority of the government in these states are Democrats. And look what they do to this woman that just won election in Georgia. A number of the leading Republicans denounced Greene after videos of her surface spreading racist and anti-Semitic conspiracy theories, including a claim that Democratic donor George Soros collaborated with Nazis. Greene won the seat handily on Tuesday night, then thanked supporters on Twitter for electing her. She wrote, "Big win tonight." Greene tweeted Tuesday night, "Thank you to the people of Northwest Georgia for choosing me to fight for them in Washington, D.C. I thank her. I don't hate on her. I hope she does a great job. I would take her over any of the crew and the left-wing commie women that they have on the other side." Trying to look for a story. Some fraud. I don't know where I put that freaking article. Sorry, I suck at what I do. That's why I don't do this for a living, because I'm fucking horrible. And also, this is a part of the problem with the Republican Party, is we're watering it down. We need to get back to Christian roots in the party. You have the LGBTQ community, which they're trying to bring in. You're going to turn off your base, okay? And then, dude, this is the truth of the matter. If you become a black conservative in this movement, you're instantly a celebrity. Instantly. You don't got to put in any work. You don't have to have any receipts. You don't have to do anything. And everyone's running up to you at a Trump rally like you're some type of famous person. Take pictures of you. If you're gay or transgendered or you're black, you don't have to put in any work. You'll have 20, 30,000 followers on Facebook and YouTube overnight. And if you're a white conservative and you've been in the movement for 20, 30 years, you get no respect. It's a freaking joke. And then don't forget this either. Mr. President Trump, right? He overlooked literally them setting up a place of worship in the military for Satan worshipers. This happened under his watch. This is great. Everyone knows that I'm a huge AJ fan. Alex Jones went down to Arizona. There's a group of right-wing Trump supporters outside of the where they're counting the ballots, and Alex Jones went and paid him a visit. Here's this video. To all you Alex Jones haters out there, you can suck it. I love AJ. Love AJ. All right, let's see what else we got. Here's an interesting story. United States postal worker was charged with delay or destruction of mail after Customs and Border Protection intercepted him on the Canadian border on Election Day with a trunk full of absentee ballots. The charge for Brandon Wilson, 27, of Buffalo, New York, carries a maximum penalty of 5 years in prison and a $250,000 fine. The office is committed not only to ensuring the integrity of the mails, but also of individuals' rights to vote in a free and fair election, stated U.S. Attorney James Kennedy. The criminal conduct with which the defendant is engaged in undermines both of those interests. According to the complaint, on November 3rd, 2020, at approximately 7:34 p.m., Customs and Border Protection officers encountered Wilson, an employee of the United States Postal Service, at the Peace Bridge port of entry. As part of standard CBP vehicle sweep, Wilson opened the trunk of his vehicle for officers. A USPS mail bin containing numerous mail pieces was observed by an officer inside the trunk. Officers also observed multiple USPS uniform items bearing the USPS logo, along with USPS identification badge with Wilson's name. Wilson stated the mail belonged to him and his mother. However, Wilson could not account for additional names printed on the mail. Wilson further stated that he intended to deliver the mail and had forgotten to return the mail to the post office. This comes as numerous USPS whistleblowers have come forward to Project Veritas to reveal that they have been backdating mail ballots after the election day. I played those videos for you earlier, one out of Detroit and Philadelphia.
Federal prosecutors say a West Seneca postal worker could have interfered with the election by stealing absentee ballots and other mail. He's now charged with delay or destruction of mail. 7 Eyewitness News reporter Hannah Bueller shows us what led to the arrest and what authorities say they found in the man's car.
It was 7:30 p.m. on election night when Customs and Border Protection officers say they stopped a U.S. postal worker near the Peace Bridge after getting off the 190 at the wrong exit. Customs and Border Protection officers did a sweep of his personal car. It was there investigators say they opened the trunk of Brandon Wilson's vehicle and found a postal carrier box with 3 absentee ballots sent to 2 Buffalo addresses from the Erie County Board of Elections, 106 political mailings, 220 first-class mailings, and 484 standard mailings. That's a total of 813 mail pieces that prosecutors say did not belong to Wilson. The first-class letter mailings were supposed to go to zip codes in the Buffalo-Cheektowaga border, with the majority going to 14215. In the criminal complaint, prosecutors say Wilson, who is from West Seneca, initially told officers the mailings were for him and his mother, but then said in September he estimated he placed mail from his delivery routes into his personal vehicle trunk on more than 4 occasions. Wilson said he intended to decrease the amount of mail in the trunk of his vehicle by placing a small amount into USPS missort containers in the morning before his shift began. But federal prosecutors say he hadn't placed any mail in the missort containers for 3 weeks. U.S. Attorney J.P. Kennedy says this office is committed not only to ensuring the integrity of the mails, but also individuals' right to vote in a free and fair election. The criminal conduct with which this defendant is alleged to have engaged undermine both of those interests.
And the U.S. Postal Service tells me Wilson has been placed on emergency placement, which means he is out of work and has no access to the mail. This is pending the outcome of this criminal investigation. If convicted on the charges, he could spend 5 years in prison. Reporting in West Seneca, Hannah Bueller, 7 Eyewitness News.
Yeah, they would never cheat. They would never cheat. No, they would never cheat. Because the Postal Service employees don't have no interest in who wins the election, right? No, they don't care who wins, right? Are you kidding me? Which party is for smaller government and cutting? Okay? Are you kidding me? They are union. They support Biden by and large. No, they'd never do that. They never do that. No. You're just a crazy conspiracy theorist. Crazy conspiracy theorist. But that's what they all say. You're a crazy conspiracy theorist. And then what ended up coming out, Epstein and all these conspiracies. That one organization, that modeling run that was running the Nexus or whatever, I can't pronounce the damn name. They make up their weird names, having sex slaves. And years ago, the people would tell Alex Jones, the crazy one. Here, election staff take the day off in PA, Pennsylvania, with 35,000 ballots to count. Election staff in Pittsburgh, Allegheny County, one of Pennsylvania's most populous areas, reportedly have taken the day off on the 5th. The big racist, Donald Trump, supposedly he's won the highest share of non-white vote of any Republican since 1960. Man charged in assault of elderly Trump supporter at polling place. This piece of trash. Yeah, they would never cheat. They would never cheat. Even say what you like about Lindsey Graham, but I mean, this guy has really come around, really. Lindsey Graham backs Trump on voter fraud claims, donates $500,000 for the legal fight. Senator Lindsey Graham is going all in on backing President Trump in his legal fight against big city Democrats' vote count efforts. In an interview Thursday evening with Fox News, Mr. Graham told host Sean Hannity that he'd make a massive donation to Mr. Trump's legal team to counter what he called earth-shattering accusations. In the interview, Mr. Graham told Sean Hannity he'd make a donation. I'll just pull up the video. There you have it. Say what you want about Lindsey Graham. But at least he's standing up. At least he's smart enough to know that if Trump goes down next election, he's screwed too. Welcome to the one-party system, buddy. One-party system. Mark my words. I'm so sick of hearing these. Oh, you're overreacting. Don't say there's fraud. Don't say that. Everything will be okay. Everything will be fine. Everything swings back and forth. Let me tell you something. It's inevitable. These Democrats have immigrants coming into this country. They come into the major cities. They're fed welfare. They're fed the support system. Then they're having the people living in the major cities moving out to the suburbs. They're gaining ground. Okay, all the suburbs bordering these major cities that were once leaning Republican are now Democrat. They're all now Democrat. They're gaining. Okay, and if you notice, they're taking all the port cities, all the cities on the outside, and they're going to squeeze us like a boa constrictor. And they're just going to keep having immigrants come into this country. They're paying them off with social services and welfare. And then they send them into the suburbs, and they're taking. Republicans aren't moving into the cities. So we have nothing to counter that. We're moving just further and further away, just giving up our territory and our land. What are you going to do when you hit the water? Where are you going to go? Here's a story. Can Trump run again in 2024 if he loses in 2020? If Donald Trump loses the election in 2020, nothing stops him from running again in 4 years. By then, he'll be running against Carmela because Joe's going to be gone, let me tell you. Judge hands Trump legal win in Pennsylvania. Vote count. Out in Portland, they're already starting to get ready for the riots. They're getting a little early start. Getting a little early start over there. Here's Portland the other evening. The party of peace and tolerance. And they want always us to be the peaceful ones. Oh, don't say that. You got to be more responsible. You got to be you know, the left loves the Republican pacifism. They love it. They love it. They love it. They love it. And that's why they win. And that's why we lose. There you go. There you go. Imagine what it's going to be like if Trump ends up pulling out the win. See, it's all been set up. It's all been set up for violence. This is the worst thing that could have happened. Well, not really. If Trump would have won, they would have rioted. But now, if Trump, either way now, neither side trusts the system. Neither side. There's only one solution right now. And it's a two-state solution. All right, now the final video I'm going to leave you with is some Kumbaya Bill Maher. And we all need to get along.
And finally, new rule, no matter which side wins on Tuesday, let's skip the Civil War and go right to reconciliation. "34% of the voters think another civil war in the next 5 years. And I'd like to remind them of one thing. America is a family. And a family is people who hate each other without resorting to violence. We have each other, not mortal enemies, but as roommates from hell. If we want to simply have to find a way to work together, like the Rolling Stones. Like the Rolling Stones, because they'll need a comeback tour to pay the bills. So let's not have a civil war with the Trumpers. We're the war and the Like them or not, they're not going anywhere. Neither side is. The only people who ever threaten to leave rich celebrities, and none of them ever do. People keep sending me these maps showing how red states and blue states should just go our separate ways. We'll get New York, they'll get Texas. Shut the fuck up. Take someone who has tried the country my whole life. There are no red states or blue states. They're all like Mitch McConnell's hand, some shade of purple. Can't have a second civil war because sides aren't separated anymore, you see? The Mason-Dixon line of today cut through states, cities, streets, even bedrooms. We're amongst each other now, all sold together and marbled in. There are 3.8 million voters in Texas and 4.5 million Trump voters in California. We can't go to war. Cleaner is behind enemy lines. I don't want to fight the battle of Trader Joe's. We have got to figure out ways to start working with each other again. And the way we've always done that in the past is with a grand bargain. Mr. President, you must know this. You're the big deal maker. And I know you watch the show every week by accident. By accident. You're like a bird. Darn, the luck keeps getting a zucchini. I don't know how it happened again. It's a grand bargain that could work for everybody. If liberals lose, we won't loot Foot Locker. And if you lose, you don't loot the treasury. That's how we get America back, with a grand bargain on looting. Because I'll admit, our side has lately been having a little trouble saying looting is bad. Like Axios cheerily reported that looting can have positive effects because it generates cash for the looters. Yes, stealing usually does. There's even a book called The Author Says Looting, quote, provides people an imaginative sense of freedom and pleasure. So does masturbating in a Zoom meeting. But we don't recommend it. Have we lost our minds? Stealing bad. No looting the mall, and also no Gucci logo Republicans ransacking the government. Because I know what... I know what you're thinking, Don. You lose the election and everything must go. Lost our lease, going out of business. Oh yes, you'll be selling pardons on Craigslist. Jared will turn the Smithsonian into condos. You're going to try to strip this government like it's an abandoned Range Rover in a bad neighborhood. As we speak, they are trying to pull off one final giant swampy scam with the new 5G, a deal one official said is perhaps the biggest handoff of economic power to a single entity in history, after the Jeff Bezos divorce, of course. Yeah. 5G. Trump's cronies are cutting themselves in. This is looting much grander scale than boosting the window display at Lululemon. Doing it with the pandemic as well. In September, the stock price of Kodak surged because they were given a huge to make pandemic drugs with one small problem. Kodak doesn't make drugs. They make cameras in 1985. Kodak? Who was the second bidder for this? The Gap? Stop stealing. Is this really such a hard thing for Americans to do? Can we agree on something? Anything. Because it's chippy out there. So please, whatever happens Tuesday, let's find a way to live together. We have to, because no other country will take us.
Well, there you have it. I thank you for joining me. And remember, in order to be a deplorable, you must be disavowed.